Hello, Scorpio. This is your reading for the week of February 16th, or when you hear it and it resonates. I've asked for 3 key cards this week for everybody. But even before I pulled cards, what I was getting from Spirit was an image of you swimming under the water, just under the surface of a lake. And there are weeds close to the shore. You're beyond the weeds, but you're swimming along the side like this in the fairly shallow water. And you have what would be like a homemade snorkel, like a pipe up to the surface. And you're swimming along, and every once in a while you pop up and you look around to make sure that there's nothing in your way or you're not going to bump into anything. And then you go back down. But the thing about this image that's relevant that Spirit is showing me is that it's because you're close to the shore, so there's still caution. Now, if we look at lake and water as emotion, which in my model would be that, is that what it is? Yes, it is. It's deep emotion, it's deeper emotion, it's unconscious emotion as well. That's one of the things that's important. And that the nature of you being in water is not unusual, Scorpio. But what is, because you are a water sign, of course, but what I find interesting about this is that it's not unlike scorpions, the animal scorpions. They're very, very good on land. They work on land. They walk on land. They're in the desert. They also like water. They'll stay near drains or puddles of water. So in fact, it is kind of a Scorpio's nature to stay grounded more than allowing themselves to get swept up into really deep, deep currents of emotion, say the way a Cancer sign would, for example. So what you're being told here, though, Scorpio, is that you have got the capacity now to not just be safe when you're swimming along, or not just to feel safe when you're swimming along the edge, but that you actually have the capacity now to flip over on your back and paddle out into the middle of the lake, get rid of the pipe, because now you can breathe the air clearly. You can see the sky and you can see everything around you. So what they're saying is you have the capacity now to be in deeper emotion, and that staying close to the edge was the way of kind of keeping out of it in a way. Not because you weren't aware that it was there, because you're very aware, but because it was practical, it was functional to not get too caught up in things because you had stuff to do. Now, Scorpio, we know this will not be for every Scorpio, right? The ones that I'm reading for right now, the cards that you pulled were grief, kindness, and take a break. And what I like about that in correlation with the image is that grief is the emotion that we associate in polarity therapy as being the most profound emotion, because it resonates with the first loss, which is loss of connection to source, which is the illusion, of course. We're never disconnected, but we come in with that loss of memory and that grief that is created by that mistaken belief. So what you're being told here is that because you've got grief, and that is the card that I associate with the deepest emotion, the most profound and most transformative emotion, what this is telling me is that you're able, you have the capacity to do it, and also that you are opening to very deep emotion. Not just emotion, however they're saying, not just the human emotion that you've lived, but because the emotion of grief is in the energy medicine I work with associated with that first grief, that loss of connection to source, that belief that we've been separated from God. Because that's coming up, what that's saying to me is this is part of what you are working on now. And that as you more and more dispel that mistaken belief and reestablish your knowing connection to that part of yourself that is source, the essence of you, the more you will be able to deal with whatever emotions want to come up from the past or come up currently. And that's the thing, is what they're saying is, now you can take a break. This is the other part that I love about this. You can take a break from trying to fix everything, from trying to make everything okay, from trying to understand everything. You can take a break from trying to fix yourself as though you should have known better, you should have done better, any of those things. You should look, if you were this way, if you looked that way, if you taught that, if you learned that. No. This is about you reconnecting to that essence of you, in which you are already perfect, in which you are loved, in which you are love, and within which you are then able to be kind to yourself, but also to others around you. And what might that look like? Gentleness, empathy, gracious consideration, humaneness. It's all those different things. And the other thing that I really love about that is the phrase you often hear is, if you have the opportunity to be right or to be kind, choose kind. And I feel like this is something, it's not that you are unkind or you have been unkind, even though Scorpios can get a real bad rap for that. But a lot of that is your kindness doesn't always show because you have felt like you need to be protected. So much of the time you need to be self-protective. So in clarifying that you are okay, that everything is okay, sometimes the tone can be a little bit short. And I think they've talked about this before with you. So I feel this must be really a powerful transformation time, because it's not just about, well, don't be right, be kind. It's about when you are in that space, when you have healed that sense of disconnection from that loving source, you are naturally able to be kind. You are naturally able to step out of having to fix yourself or having to fix anybody else. Because remember, if we are judging other people, it means we are still judging ourselves too. Judgment is a quality, it's a way of thinking, it's a way of being. And it's a way of staying protected. So when we feel less need to be protected, which will happen as we're more connected to Source, we are much able to assess a situation, but assess it kindly and without the hypervigilance that sometimes has felt necessary to you. I like this very much for you, Scorpio. And what I really appreciate about this is the fact that you've got that grief card. That is transformation, evolution in a huge, huge way. And that is when you know Spirit is really with you and guiding you. Okay? I want to take one big deep breath, because I feel like I want to sigh for you and say, yes, you don't have to hide along the weeds and the edge. Get rid of that old tube, that old way of breathing. Let yourself open up and look at the sky and look at the sun and enjoy the fact that you can float in the water. You can experience emotion in a loving, wonderful way. And that's where you're moving to, where you can move out of being guarded, where you can move out of being vigilant all the time, where you can expect kindness rather than expecting anything other than kindness. Okay? I love this for you, Scorpio. I'm going to leave you with that. Take care.